Hello YouTube and welcome to our 26th Unity tutorial, and in this tutorial we are going to be adding some animation to our HUD, so when we're chopping a tree we can actually tell the user that they're chopping a tree and they're not just guessing if we're chopping it. So to start, I thought of an animation. Now in Unity 3, which what we're using, you can't use animated GIFs or any movie files. If you don't know what animated GIF is, it's basically a picture and then it moves a bit, then you move it a bit and you play the pictures over and over again and it looks like it's moving. So we're going to recreate that effect in Unity using scripting. So basically what I'm going to do is put this texture on a little place, and then we'll wait for a time to pass and then move it, and wait for a time to pass and begin it again, and it'll loop it, make it look like it's animating. So I did some researching and I thought an axe was the best one for chopping a tree. So I got an axe and I took it into Photoshop, or you can use Paint.net, whatever you want, GIMP, yeah. And I shrunk it down all the way to 50 by 50. And you can see it's pixelated, which is, you can see all the squares. But if you zoom out, it's going to be roughly about that big on top of our game, well about there. So you'll not see it pixelated. Then what I did is took the background away and then saved that as chopping animation 1. And then I saved this one, I rotated it as chopping animation 2. So when you play the 2 backwards and forwards, it kinda looks like it's chopping wood. You could of course do 3 where one's kind of there, so it looks like you're doing chop, chop, chop. But yeah, so I did that and then I stuck it into Unity. So what we ended up with was this and this. So if you look in the little preview corner down here, chop, 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 chop. It does look a lot better without the white background. So make sure you don't save it as a JPEG because that won't work. So now what we're going to do is, as you can see, we've got a player health HUD, which is a Gui texture. We need another one of them. So what we're going to do is go to game object, create other Gui texture, like so. And we're going to drag our chopping animation 1 onto it. Boom. But as you can see, it's stretched, which you don't want. So I set it to 50 by 50. Now the reason I set it to 50 was because if you look at our health HUD, that's height is 50, so that's from this bottom to the top. And well, I thought that we could put this axe right next to it, so if it was a bit bigger it'd look a bit weird. So if it's the same size it'll look perfect. So I did that. As you can see though, it has got a white border on it there, but that's just because I did a lousy job in Photoshop. I might redo that later, like off tutorial, because you don't want to see that, but yeah. So what we're going to do is rename this to HUD Animations with an underscore, like so. So we have our HUD Animations, which is good. Now we want the X and then Y of this, so it's the Y is up and down, we have 260, so paste that into the Y, because then it's the same height now. And then all we'll do is just change the X so it's closer, around there. So as you can see, it is the same height even though it looks a bit weird, but don't forget we've got a black border, so roughly about here, roughly about there. Yeah, it is the same height. So I thought there would be a cool place to have it, and then it'll animate up and down there and then disappear when we don't want it. So now that we've done that, we need to create a new script to start the chopping sequence. So I'm going to go to our scripts folder, and I think I'll create a new one and call it animations, because there are 2 types of animations. There are 3D animations where you move it yourself, move the points, move the pictures, or there are scripted animations, which we're doing now. We've already done animations to make a bad job of our making our character walk. I'm not saying scripting's better, but yeah, it takes longer, but you may come out with better stuff. So I'm going to call this HUD Animations, like so. So we'll open that up, open. And so first, what we need is this HUD Animations script is going to be for everything else we do as well, to control the whole animation. So at the moment it's an axe, and what this script will do is if the player's chopping, it will appear and then chop. However, say we ever want mining or something like that, we can put change this script, so if we're mining, change it to a mine symbol or something, a pickaxe, I don't know, and then make the pickaxe animate, so we can save one script but control loads of other things. So we're going to note it out here straight away as chopping. So any variables below this are chopping, and say we want another one, I don't know what to put there, so that'll be good. So we could have mining, I don't know what we're going to do yet, but yeah. So first we're going to create a static variable to define when our player's chopping. So if at the moment, if you look at a tree chop, there's nothing saying we are chopping, it just chops. So what we're going to do here is make one and call it player underscore chopping, and then that will equal to false. So as you can see, we now have that. And what we're going to do straight away, so we don't forget later, is make it so that can turn on and off when we're chopping. So we're going to go to our tree chop, which we made last tutorial, and copy this so that we spell it right. And if you scroll down and look here, the time, as soon as we press the backspace, the timer activates here. So what we're going to do is below this, where it starts the time, we're going to put HUD underscore animations dot player chopping equals true. But then it'll always stay on. So what I need to do is copy that, paste it below everything, and make it false again. So now it turns on and turns off. So we press it, turns on, animation, click, 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 tree's dead, turn off, done, stops. So which is all good. So now what we need is a variable to store our textures for our two pictures what we want. So we did do this for the health, where we did texture, 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 but for this case we can't make it switch between multiple textures. It needs to be one line to switch this texture. It needs to be basically one variable to store all textures. We couldn't do this in health because it would have been a lot more complicated and more code. So what we're going to do is do it this way. So we're going to create a new variable called chopping frames, which will store our pictures. You call it textures if you like. This will be a texture 2D like we did. However, what we're also going to do is add two square brackets on the end and then a semicolon. These square brackets turn it in from a normal one storage variable to a multiple storage variable, which basically, if we didn't have these square brackets, it could store one picture. But now we can set the value in the inspector. So if we save that in here, well, so we'll just drag it to the HUD animations for now. It doesn't understand HUD animations. Tree chart. I spelt it wrong. HUD animations. There we go. So if, now that we've made the array, as you can see, if we go back to here, there we go. Chopping frames is now a drop down box and a size. The size is how many variables you want to store in it. So we want to store 2, like so. And as you can see, it's got 2 text 2Ds. So we can just drag and drop. So if we go to our textures folder here, element 0, it always starts at 0 from programming, not 1. And number 2. So now we have our 2 variables. As you can see, they haven't got no white background, which is good. So we've now defined our variables. But now what we need is a speed of it in which it's going to chop at, well, I mean flicker at between, and I happen to know that from research that 10 was a good one. So create a new variable called speed, and we'll equal to 10.0. It needs to be 10.0, and as because if you don't remember, we're using decimals, it needs to be a float. Float equals that. Float allows you to store decimals. So that's that one. So now we have our 3 variables which we need, which is good. We don't need this function start, so we can get rid of that. Right, so we start now. Basically, we're going to say if this HUD animations play chopping equals true, which it does, then do the flicker loop sequence. And because it's an update, it will constantly loop it. So what we're going to do is copy this here, so we don't have to type this out again. And here, type if, and then put that in HUD animations play chopping equals to true, which it does. Then firstly what we're going to do is make it enabled. So we're going to put Gui texture dot enabled equals true. Now usually if you wanted to turn something to true, so we had a variable saying HUD animations, we'll call it HUD animation dot Gui texture, and we create the variable. But since this script's going to be attached to the HUD animation, we're just going to put Gui texture because it'll automatically jump to that object. So we've done that. And now we're going to create a new variable, which will be an integer, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to make it convert to seconds, and then make it times that by speed. So don't get confused, it is simple. So we're going to call this one var chop images. So basically this one will flicker between the images, and it'll be an int, which is integer, and then that'll equal to time, which is converts it to seconds, which we've used before, and then that's times our speed. So basically it'll create an integer called chop images, which will equal the seconds times by the speed, so every 10 seconds basically. So that equals 10 seconds, that's what you can basically say. And now we're going to type chop images, so we're changing this variable, equals, and it equals itself, so we're not taking anything away. But then we need to put the percent sign, which is the shift and 5, and I don't know what it is on a Mac, but yeah. If you are on a Mac, comment below, because I'm interested to know who it is. I know most people use Windows for this, but if you are on a Mac, comment below, because then it'll be cool. So chop images, and then this percent sign doesn't mean percent. It does sound a bit stupid, yes, but it actually means get the remainder of. If you want to do percent, you just like, there's 75% in mathematics. If you want like the fraction of it or decimal, you just put 0 point. That's it. 0.5 before it, or basically move the point twice if you want to do it that way. So this basically gets the remainder of, and then we want our chopping frames, and then now we put the array back and semicolon. However, we don't just leave this array blank this time, we put chop images. And now I'll explain this to you. No, I've just typed that wrong, completely wrong. Get rid of the array and put dot length. That's it, yeah, dot length. So basically what this will do is create the variable blah blah equals seconds times speed, so 10 seconds. Then the 10 seconds is equal to the 10 seconds, however remainders of it from the length of our array, which is 2. So remainder of one picture is 5, so 5 seconds for each picture. So the remaining seconds is 5, then it'll switch to the other one, and then do it again. So it'll wait for it to equal 5, then switch, 5, switch, 5, switch, and it does go into recurring. So say you have 3 images, it will go to 1.55555 or 1.33335, I don't know. Yeah. Now what we're going to do is change our texture, because that picks which texture it's going to be, but now we've got to set the texture. So we're going to type Gui Texture, which we've used before, and then that will equal to our chopping frames, and then the chop image which has been chosen. If you don't understand that, don't worry about it, because we won't be using that much, and it's not brackets, it's square brackets. Yep. So if you don't get that, don't worry about it, because it can get a bit confusing, but we're probably not going to use this again. And this is nearly done now, so it's all good. So here we're going to type else if, and now we need to disable the graphic if the HUD animations equals false. So we're going to copy this, paste it in here. If it equals false, which it does, well, after it's chopped it will equal false as we've set in the tree chop. Then this GUI texture will equal false. There we go. So now if we were to try that, that would work perfect, which we are going to try because I'm tempted to see if it does work. And we have an error. Unknown image chop image, because it is chop images. Isn't it? Yes. There, chop images. There we go. All done. No errors. There we go. Giving it a mighty stare down. And now what we need to do is make this invisible. We can just play it and then it'll automatically make it invisible, but just to save a bit of power at the beginning of the game, all you have to do is tick this GUI texture to disable it. If you tick this, it'll never run this script because it deactivates everything, but this only deactivates this, and then the script, because it's still active, can turn it back on again. So we'll make it full screen just so we can actually hear it. And we'll walk up to here, press C, chop, 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 chop. As you can see, it's going really, really fast, so I'm guessing but as you can see, it disappeared. It did work, but we need to alter the speed. So 10 is a little bit fast, so we'll try 5. I don't know, it must have been different on mine when I did it. Because when you change it in the inspector, it doesn't change it in the script. Chop, chop, better. So as you can see, it is chopping it, and we have chopped it. But 5's not enough, so we'll say 3. You do have to just keep trying. Like, wait till we start trying to develop cars, then you'd not like doing this, because you have to go back to the inspector for everything. There we go. Perfect. Chop, 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 chop. There we go. We have 1 tree, and that would work on every single one now. So that's all good. We've done that. I'm happy about that now. But anyways, as I was saying, if people vote on something, I'm going to show at the end, that they want to enable drivable cars in our game, we have to add so many variables here to change that you're going to get annoyed with it. Like, you have to have top speed, acceleration, current speed, braking, drift power, tyre pressure, weight, and then you've got all these massive long variables. You've got 4 variables for all your wheels, 6 if you want a truck. You've got lights, you've got backlights, you've got headlights, you've got windows, you've got damage. But yeah, we'll probably not go into that yet, because we're still beginners yet, aren't we? Yes. Now, so we've done that, but what I was thinking was, what we could do is, while we're playing, and we go up to the tree, which was all good, there's nothing to tell a newbie player how to chop. So it goes up to it. Right now, what? It's just growing. What do we do? So what we're thinking is just pause that, because he's doing me heading. Put a little text box here saying press whatever to chop. So I was thinking about backspace. Nobody knows backspace for chopping. Why? Why don't you just put C? Which is all good. Well, C can get mixed up with crouch, but how many RPG games have you played where you can crouch? Well, MMOs, kinda. I'm confused now. I've confused myself. Never mind. We'll use control or something. We'll change it to something cool. So what we're going to do is go back to our tree chop here, and we're going to create a new variable, and we'll call this input text. And then this will equal to, now we've used Gui Textures, which is a texture or an image. However, now we're going to use Gui Text. It's the exact same, except this is words and letters, that's pictures. That's it. It's pretty much every time you want to enable it, Gui Text.enabled, or change it, Gui Text.text. Yeah. So what we're going to do is, basically, when it's in range, which is here, so if it's in range, we want to Gui Text.enabled, we'll create the Gui text in a minute, equals true. So it's enabled, which is all good. Well, actually, no, we don't want Gui text, we want input text. There we go, because we're not attaching it to that, we're attaching it to a tree. So it'll look for a Gui text and not work, and it'll be, not good. But yeah, now what we're going to do is put input.text, well, input text.text. So we're going to change the text of what it says. And now, same again with our HUD animations, we're going to use this one input text for a range of things. So press M to mine, or press C to chop, press B to blacksmith, I don't know, press enter to get in for vehicles, I don't know. So we're going to change the text to press, and now we're going to change the key code to C. So we're going to get rid of all this and change C. So get key up C, press C to chop. That's it. Now we need to create our GUI text. So I did some research. I'm just going to close Photoshop now because you don't need it no more. Go away, go away, go away, go away. There we go. And so we have DAF font, which we've used before. I can't remember what we used it for, but apparently we did. If not, I'll post it in the description anyway. I'm going to use this one called Babas New. So sorry about can't saying that, but that's made by some dude called that. I don't want to say it because it may get offensive. But him, Mr. Type, we'll say that. And I really like this text. It's all capitals. It just looks cool. It looks better than standard Arial or Comic Sans. So I'm going to download that. You just click download. It'll come as a WinRAR. Then you export it and stick it in your texture folder, which I did here. So we've got our fonts, Babas New. If we drag the preview up here, font material, as you can see it's blank, which isn't good. It's blank on both. It's not good. So what we're going to do is go back to here and change the character from dramatic to Unicode. I haven't got a clue what that means, I'm going to be honest, but as you can see it works. So you can't complain, there it is, it's all textured. I think what that basically does is allow it to change colour. So what colour do we want it? Do we want it white? If we have it black we might not see it. Red, I'll have it greyish, yeah. But as you can see it does change it, look. Apply, yeah, always apply. There we go, so we've got our texture. Now what we're going to do is go to Game Object, Create Other, and Gui Text. There you go, we've got a Gui Text, so we're just going to Player Help Guide, yeah. And we'll call this our Player Information Panel. Yeah, we'll probably change the name of that another day, but yeah, that can stay out here as well. And what we're going to basically do is click the font, the little pinhead, and attach Baby New. So as you can see, Player Help Guide. It looks a lot more better. Now what we're going to do is leave the material blank because we just want it standard grey. If you wanted an outline or something, I suppose you could put Toon on it, which we'll go over in another one. So what we can do is adjust the font size to make it bigger. Okay, apparently you don't want to do that, ignore that one then. Go away error. If you want to change the size, you will use this. So 16, 32, yeah. Click apply. Boom. There you go. It's a lot bigger, better. Now we should be able to change it in the information panel. Okay, apparently not. Okay, we'll just change it in there and hope for the best. So 32 is a bit big, so I'm going to go down. I forgot it was last time. I'll just call it 25. Perfect. Right, so now what we're going to do is don't move it with these X and Y like we do everything else. Same as the health HUD, we use the pixel offset. So we'll have it in the middle, but we'll move it all the way down. So go to our game. That's too low because we have probably have our thingy there, won't we? What you call it? Inventory. Yeah. I don't know if this game is. That's not good. So obviously we have to move that back down. Down a bit more. And a bit more. Yeah, that'll do. Up a bit. And now we're going to move it back into the middle. There we go, that's pretty good. So, disable the GUI text like we did usually, and then go back to the prefab, that's it. Yeah, we need the prefab. Here, big tree auto growth. As you can see, we have input text. The reason we're doing it to our prefab and nothing else is, otherwise you have to attach it to, when I find it, every single tree you do. However, if we attach it to one of these, just as an example, nothing else has it. However, if we attach it to a prefab, oh, I'm dragging something else. That one. Why not? Okay. Don't want to do that, just drag that into the prefab again then. Boom. Now every single one still doesn't have it. Why not? Okay, that might not work. Apparently then, we need to add sort of another scripting thing. So in this function start, which we're not going to delete this time, because apparently we don't want to, we're going to copy the name of the player information panel here. So the function start basically whenever this object first begins, or when it first begins to run this script, so it gets to here, it goes all variables, function start, then function update. Function starts always before it. We're going to type input text equals game object dot find input text. That's not what we called it. I don't know. Called it play information panel. Information panel dot GUI text. Now that should work. Did you mean GUI text? Yes. Lowercase GUI. There we go. And it likes it. Good. So now if we play it, every single one of them will have it. Now let's hope this works. So we walk up to this tree, it will say, press C to chop. Oh good, press C, chop, 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 chop. Gone. There we go. But as we walk away, it stays there. So what we need to quickly do is add Here, in range dot enabled equals true. Here, in range equals false. So that's that. I've put some defaults in there so you can choose from. So I'll put it on for 5 tutorials, take it off, change it again. So when you go to this link, you'll get this. What you do is you'll come onto this website and then you click do not use safe mode. The reason you have to click do not is because it has adult content on it, which basically means the word weapon. It's got the word weapon on it, which it doesn't like. So after you've done that, click save. There's nothing bad on it. It'll come up with this. It works this time. Then it'll be what do you want to see next. Vote on here what videos you want to see on my channel. It's by me, as you can see, the Slayer. And what video would you like to see next? More pickup items, maybe. More weapons, you can only have one of these. More enemies, drivable vehicles, enemy intelligence, which basically make enemies move around. And then more animation using Unity 3D, which is the moving and stuff. So you can choose which one you want, click submit vote, it'll submit it, it'll come to me. And then if you click results, you can see what other people's done. Already one person's voted on drivable vehicles. I put my hand up, that was me. It's a test, but yes, it works. As you can see, by me again. There we go. So please test that, because if it works, I'll be happy, I'll be able to do it more. It does take 2 days long to create one, but this was only a day long. Yeah, so please do that. Thanks for watching, and see you later.